I will also echo the thanks to all of you folks for what you do. I would encourage you all to seek all of the training that's available to you and spend as much time here as you possibly can spend here to get to know the job. As far as the zoning office, I note that there was no zoning report. I have an intense interest in what goes on in our zoning here in the city, as you well know. I noted with some interest that Mr. Lafferty mentioned the success of the virtual municipal courts. I'm told that our zoning office has had its hands tied by a municipal court that's become impotent because people don't even appear because you know what I'm talking about, Mr. Lafferty. You know what we've been told here. So I'm going to be watching that with interest. When and how are our zoning violations that are rampant in the city going to be dealt with? It's not a personal issue. It's a city-wide issue. It's a problem. We have to have it addressed. We can't just continue to sit back while people from out of town come here and do whatever they want, and then be told that the courts are closed, or the courts have no power to enforce our codes. I've asked over and over again how that can be. I don't know, but I do note with interest, Mr. Lafferty, that you say that in court they can be held to appear virtually. That there is no such thing here as not appearing in court. I roll over at night when I think about that. Thank you. I hope I did that under 3 minutes. It's mad. It's maddening. I'm at 5? It's maddening. Thank you.
You didn't tell us that.
I wish you would have beat me. Thank you. But I wish you would have beat me.
No, you had a minute.
Oh, I had a minute.
Seconds left.
Oh, thank you. But please address that, Mr. Lafferty. How can this be?
I was unaware that there was an issue regarding the enforcement of municipal ordinances.
Oh, come on, you sit in these meetings, sir, with me.
No,
You've
no,
heard
I'm
the
saying
zoning officer.
at the central court.
Oh, the central court.
Are you saying this?
Well, no, we have outstanding code violations that are not being addressed, and we're being told that the people have not appeared, and the court can't do anything, can't issue bench warrants, can't do anything. Nothing can be done.
It's a
They
moratorium
just don't
on,
show up, and nothing can be done.
I think it's a moratorium on bench warrants.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Mr. Lafferty. I think with Mr. Godson, the problem is that the interpretation is from municipal court administration in Trenton is that supposedly they cannot issue bench warrants for failure to appear. Whether that is correct or not.
These things.
Well, that's all part of the bail reform too. That was all part of the court reforms, but I will take that issue up with the central prosecutor.
We got a problem
They
here.
said it was because the courts were closed because of COVID.
We got a problem.
No, the courts
Why
are,
they-
the courts are open.
Yeah, but they were saying that you can't do anything because, Mr. Gossen, remember,
I'm sorry.
refresh my memory, excuse me for talking out of turn. But we were told that they can't do anything
Can't do
because
anything.
they aren't holding court.
No, they're holding court. It's
At the
virtual.
zoning meetings,
No,
they couldn't issue the bench warrants because, and even if they do for non-failure, there's nothing they can really do to these people right now because Yeah, they can
The
just ignore
zoning
the,
officer asserts that the state attorney general has put a moratorium on failure to appear
correct.
through the COVID pandemic.
Yep.
And though that was to expire, it was thought that it would expire the first of the year and then we would go back to failure to appear warrants. With the court consolidation, it's been extended because of Omicron and what's going on with the pandemic still.
It's gotta be over.
So, well, I will say, since I've got your attention, there'll be more on zoning at the workshop meeting, but the zoning officer asserts that there remain 7 outstanding matters now with the consolidated court. We're all aware of the half a dozen or 8 examples in town of just egregious violations of the maintenance ordinances, and the zoning officer has, I don't want to go into too much detail, but he has sought the assistance of council in staffing to meet those needs. So that's a very hot issue for us. We're going to get to work on that with the workshop meeting, and to the extent, with Mr. Lafferty's help, maybe, I hope, in the prosecutor's office, maybe we get our hammer back.
Before the workshop meeting, Mr. Gossin, I will speak with the chief prosecutor and find out what the plan is.
Thank you.
Any other comment?
Lisa Perillo, Fifth Avenue. Thank you so very much. Actually, I want to say first congratulations to all of you on your election and your swearing in this evening. And I want to thank you for asking me to serve once again in this capacity, especially for those of you that don't know me. And thank you for that generous budget of $1,100. I think we could do well with that. If I remember correctly, we spent about $140 last time, $840 last time. Things have gone up in 3 years, I guess, since the last time we had Community Day.
Since last month. It's
Yeah, you're right, you're absolutely right. So, as we get into it and the committee decides what we're gonna do, I will put a more defined budget together and make sure that you get a copy of it so you know where the money is being spent. On that note, Mr. Poe did say that the newsletter was going out sometime next week, probably toward the end of the week. So I'm thinking that January 24th, we traditionally have had meetings on Monday nights. That seems to be a good night for everyone. So I'm thinking the first meeting, the organization meeting, will be on Monday, January 24th, 7 o'clock. Are you wanting to have that meeting here in council chambers? We've traditionally had it at the Historical Society, but I want to refer to you first before I ask elsewhere.
Well, if everybody's agreeing to it, I think it might be better to have it here, only because you have a bigger area to have that. I mean, over there is a small room
Yes.
with that many people.
Yes.
So this is a bigger area to have it, so it might work better here. How does everyone else feel about that?
Okay.
I think it's a better idea, yeah.
So one of you will definitely need to be here then, so that you can let us in the
Absolutely.
building. So I will post a notice in the newsletter that January 24th will be our first meeting. And I'd also graciously like to ask for any and all that are part of the Historical Society that worked on the fall Community Day or back to community, if you would all please join us, so please extend that invitation. Okay?
I'm sorry, thank you very much for accepting the chair for the position. And then, so did you say 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock,
So we'll do 7 o'clock here on the
24th.
24th, which is a Monday.
Right,
All right, thank you.
great. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Mr. Vandenzier?
Yes, several things here. One, unequivocally clear, you cannot take CARES money and purchase an ambulance. I've done extensive research with it, you cannot do it. Also, they need money, let it be known for the record. When we had Weymouth Township come back in the court over here, and we had a previous mayor, Estell Manor bore the cost of more than $25,000 per year. Operating the court is what it literally cost us. Weymouth Township paid $4,500. We only had just a few extra cases, and there's no way really to determine where some of those tickets were written, especially the ones that were written on 11th Avenue. So They need money, here's your money right there. We bore the cost for our court all those years, and they paid next to nothing. We paid 75% more than, they paid less than 25%. That is just not fair. Next, the soil ordinance that you want to do. We discussed this back in March of 2020. We kicked it around and kicked it around, and council refused to want to do anything with it. Why did you refuse? This is when you were on council for that. Why did you refuse? And now all of a sudden, first meeting tonight, you want to do a soil ordinance. It's called dirty politics. You don't have to answer. I have another thing that I want to say. The workshop, I wanted to do a workshop many, many times. It was said, we don't want to do it, it's not necessary, it's a waste of time. How did you get religion all of a sudden?
So if you want me to respond to your first thing, when we discussed
You're
the
taking
ordinance.
away some of my minutes. I have 5
I will-
minutes to speak, and then you can respond.
No,
I will tell you another
respond.
thing. I may have erred on something for many years as it relates to the bill list, but I think it's safe to say that I was always out looking for the taxpayer and for the entire city's financial status. The bill list, once it's paid, and I've got good experience with this, because there's 2 occasions where I went to the prosecutor's office. Once that bill list is paid, you cannot press charges for any criminal activity. So I say that that bill list should be sitting right over here at this table, and everybody should be able to review that bill list before it gets approved. Once you approve that bill list, it's over. Nothing can happen. And this city has had a history for many, many years of unauthorized charges that were being placed onto the bill list. And it always seemed like the party that was in power was the party that was always guilty of doing it. So I'm going to demand that we have a bill list before it gets approved. There's no reason in the world why that the public cannot see what you're approving to spend. It's our money, it's not the city council's money. Next. Ethics. Mr. Dilge, I want to tell you something. You were supposed to be a friend of mine for many years, okay? And you said that you attended an ethics class last year. Your conduct in 21 was the most despicable I've ever seen in all 25 years I ever sat on council. You disrupted our meeting. You wanted everything your way like a spoiled little brat. You walked out of meetings. You didn't want to have quorums. You called meetings off so that we couldn't attend. We could have had a meeting in October by Zoom, but no, we're going to call a meeting. There's a lot of things that you have turned this city upside down with. I spent 25 years on this council, and you show me absolutely no respect whatsoever. And the reality is, you didn't do anything for this town. Zero.
You don't deserve one.
You don't have any recognition excuse me, Mr. Gossett.
Not one ounce.
You didn't do anything for this community as you've been on this city council. And yet you're back on. You caused all the disruptions. And then finally, I'd like to say, Mr. Lafferty, you refused several of my phone calls to return. Next, you never gave me any advice. You never discussed anything about a contract when I spoke to you in the beginning of 2020. What do we do with the contract? Nothing ever became of it. You operated under the city for 2 years without a contract, Randy. You had an appointment. And I want to tell you something. I don't care whether you like the president or whether you don't. When someone is the president of the United States, you are supposed to respect that office. And for you to make the comment that Donald Trump was nothing but a fascist, I want you to tell that to Mrs. Sparks. Because you know something? Julie wanted to run on a ticket with Donald Trump, and you went and said that he was a
Thank you
fascist.
for your thoughts.
Can I
Anybody
say
else?
something, please? Can I say something?
Anything else?
Tell me you didn't say that, Randy. Tell me you didn't say that Donald Trump was a fascist.
Don't take the bait.
Because Judge Moore was a witness and he heard it.
Your time is done.
Can I
Your
say
time is
something,
done
please?
too.
No, come. Okay.
Just starting, Joe, it's just starting.
Can I say one thing?
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
When you talk about people in the zone, and the zone, like the rules are over being looked, people are getting away with things, and you're talking about, I took care of the citizens, is that like that time when we had a Zoom meeting, and I won't mention names because it's a race rule,
But you try to get somebody a driveway and try to pass it through, and then the next day I got a phone call saying, what the hell's your problem? What the hell's your problem?
Who got a driveway?
They didn't, because we turned it down.
Who got a driveway?
I'm not saying names, because it's a rights rule. What we did is, what you said to me at the end of the conversation was, I was trying to save the kid $1,500 because he's my friend, and I thought he was yours too. And that is a quote, unquote, from you. So there's your reason why some things that you do through the zoning board, maybe somebody was polishing hands, or somebody was taking care of community people that they
Do I
love.
have
Saying I took a bribe?
Make a motion
Close
to
public.
close the meeting to the public.
Well, she just said I was getting my palm greased. Are you saying that I took a bribe?
I didn't say that, I didn't say Joe was, I said some people.
It was your party that's been getting their
I
palm
want
greased
to
for
make a
years.
statement
Not
about
mine.
the city business, please.
Okay, Mr. Jones, would you like to make a public comment?
So everybody knows tomorrow night they're calling for 3 to 6 inches of snow between tomorrow night and Friday morning. Be prepared for that. Please know that irrespective of what the nonsense that I read on Facebook, our guys hit it hard yesterday. We were fortunate, very fortunate in that council's preparation in buying a new plow truck came in 3 weeks before the snow came, and our guys hit it hard, both of them in 2 different places, running 2 plows at the same time in 12 hours. They got the whole city done, and a lot of it they got done twice. And from what I've seen and heard from other people, Estell Manor was in far better shape than most surrounding communities. And so if you see any of those, either of those 2 fellows from the Public Works Department in the near future, please give them a tip of the hat and a smile. They did a great job for us.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Chief.
Anyone else from the council has any, public?
You have a motion, was there a second?
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
On one last note, I would like to thank this kind of community we have.
59.
I would like to thank the unknown neighbor who came down my driveway and plowed it. I don't know who they are, but that's the kind of town we live in.